questions for a bigger conversation.
Nothing's wrong.
Sponsored by MTN. MTN. Everywhere you go.
It's a good morning from this side of us on Kigali in the morning.
Isn't it always good morning? Really?
It's always a great morning, by the way.
It
Listen,
is.
so you gave me that beautiful story of Amazon. We'll come to it today, where they're offloading 400 staff. Crazy stuff because of technology, right?
It's AI taking over
Amazon. Hold it there. Ephraim is in the studios with us. It's Tuesday, remember. Tuesday is for serious people. Entrepreneurs. Good morning, Ephraim.
Good morning. I feel like if you see how most entrepreneurs look
and serious.
No, I mean when you see how they're dressed and what time they wake up and they get to work or office, most people don't think we're serious.
I want to do a daily 5 on people like that.
No, seriously, like you just you'll find entrepreneurs. It's just that I try to dress like a serious individual because once in a while you have to go meet people. But on a normal day, I'm in t-shirts, I'm in shorts, because at the end of the day,
for me, it's not about how the looks. It's about the brains. Are the brains at work?
Funny enough,
But people can't attribute that a lot. Looks too.
No, that's the thing. You'll find a lot of people in suits who
do a lot of nothing.
You said it very politely. I was struggling to find a way to put it, but you find the packaging does not match the content.
Yes.
Yeah, the packaging is really good, but it does not appear as it is.
I just don't want to feel like I'm attacking people this morning, but it happened. I went somewhere in one institution, and the person at the reception were talking to you they looked very presentable, but they are as rude as I've never seen. And you're like, first of all, you have the worst customer care. Your looks are very good and you're smart in a very good suit, expensive, but you don't even know how to talk to clients.
For me, actually, the belief is the outward appearance can inspire the inward change, and vice versa. So I don't completely say that when someone dresses nicely and there's no substance,
you need to combine
that there's a problem. I just feel like it's a good start, as long as you know that it's a start, that it's not the end.
By the way, good morning, Ephraim.
Good morning, by the way.
I wanted to ask this question. How does someone appear serious? How can we look serious like we mean business?
Let your results speak for themselves.
The results,
Yeah.
not your appearance.
I mean, yes, obviously there's presentability out of respect to the person you're probably going to interact with. So you're obviously not going to be indecent. I'm not going to come to a meeting in boy shorts or like tiny shorts and
like short, like
or the
ones
in a
people are
vest.
wearing these days.
Like that's not showing respect to the people I'm going to meet. But nonetheless, you should not focus on that's not the work.
Yeah.
How you appear does not matter as much as what you're actually doing. I said matter as much. It matters, but not as much. So because at the end of the day, I've said this and I'll keep saying this, business is a marathon. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So this push for quick gains of presenting yourself to be successful or serious or competent, if it's not backed by actual results, then it's worth nothing. So that's why for me, I'm a firm believer that any entrepreneur who is gonna go about trying to appear serious, any person, even if you're an employee in an organization, yes, dress smart, look the part, but also do the work to qualify you to be in that room or to qualify. Because I mean, as an entrepreneur, if you're not good at what you're gonna do, you're gonna be out of business and you're gonna slide back into whatever economic state you were in before you started the business, or probably even worse.
You realize I gave up on jackets and I no longer do suits, suit and tie.
Completely. I think I saw you in a suit. Like it's been the thing with Jesse
For the wedding.
it could have been like yesterday when he made the decision, and today it's the official. How far back did you make this decision? Because I feel like I saw you a month ago in a suit or something.
Really?
month
Where did
ago.
you see him?
I feel like I saw you in a suit. Just when was the last time?
It was just a blazer, probably. No, a suit was. We was going for the Sherry
the
Foundation.
silver gala.
Yeah,
I saw,
I think
I saw that one.
that's understandable. It was.
Yeah, I
the
wanted
dress
to look,
code was.
I wanted to look serious.
It was glitz and
I
glam.
knew I was going to meet fellow CEOs. So
We're not talking about.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the gala. We're saying like a normal working day.
No, so what in your, so you've given up on suits and ties.
yeah, I've given up on suit and ties, especially when I found Juliana here. So unserious. So demure.
Are you saying that on national radio that I'm serious?
No, but
Honestly,
the word
I
speaks for
understand.
itself.
I understand, JC. I personally, I'm not that kind of girl that. Oh, you find me in high. First of all, I don't wear high heels. It's not my thing because I don't want to embarrass myself. That I can't walk in high heels, man. I
you're also
am
tall.
a freestyler. I'm short. Do not turn this around. I'm very comfortable with being short. But I think I kind of inspired him. Like my dress, my kind of style is just freestyle, easy breezy, not embarrassing, not to the extreme, also not to the highest. I am like modest.
I would say
What matters is do I give you what you want? Do I deliver?
Yeah. No, I think the whole essence of outward appearance, it's about what you feel comfortable with, you know.
Yeah.
A funny story.
Also this kind of world we're in the media. It's not like we are supposed to come up here with suits and ties, and it's just a freestyle. You can come with your sneakers on a Monday, but do you do think?
No, actually, that's what I was about to say. Like, for somebody who's employed, your employer can tell you to wear a suit, you wear a suit. But
if Jesse gave me a job and told me to wear, I swear I would lose that job. I would go back home. I would not take that job.
I mean,
come here every day in your high heels.
I mean, it depends on how much you need the job.
Apana, bro.
I mean, okay, look, dress is just an extension. It's an accessory. It's an extension of who you are. So it's like your choice of earrings, your choice of watch, your choice of shoes.
If I got a gig,
it's not who you
Ephraim,
are.
from here, after here, and I'm supposed to go out to Bradlow and work, I don't think Bradlow is going to give me this deal of wear your heels.
No, you see, it's
boring.
the choice of employer. Like Bradley Rugwa would. Let me give you a simple example. If you worked in the factory at Bradley Rugwa, in the factory where they make the drinks, they're obviously going to tell you to wear a hard hat and a reflective vest and maybe hard toe shoes, protective gear, pretty much. Why? Because it's the attire necessary to do the job effectively.
That's true.
So if they believe that for you to, let's say you're in sales, for you to get sales, don't come to work in shorts or in track pants or in jeans, put on a suit, then it's the employer's request. So my logic is, dress is not the work. Outward appearance is not the work. How good your presentation looks. You've used, I don't know which AI mod tool you've used to design your presentations, or you've even sat there and you've used beautiful pictures that you've downloaded from Unsplash. That doesn't count. The branding doesn't count as much as what's actually in
the
that
content.
presentation. Exactly.
So, Juliana, you still serious pursuing that job of beer testing?
100%. If I got the offer even now, I would be on my way to Brailua right now.
Good luck to you. Ephraim is here. Our continuing conversation on the myth of overnight success and the future of entrepreneurship. We have this feeling because somebody made it, we will make it. But what we do not know most of the time is how much work went underneath before we saw the success on, the surface. But I want to get to critical questions that some of the audience were sharing. And this one in particular relates to a story Juliana read to me earlier on. I'm not sure if it was on air, but we spoke about Amazon laying off 400 employees because the jobs no longer do exist. And so I have Nina, who owns a small company, and she is concerned about how automation might affect her business. She's asking for advice on preparing for workforce changes and the integration of technology with the automation, AI on the rise. How should entrepreneurs prepare for future workforce?
So let me just tell you something that's happening even for me personally. Like after this session, I'm going to jump on a call. And the call is with some developers in India. Now, these developers, I'm engaging them not because I want to start a tech company, but because I need to figure out how to move with the times. Let me put it like that, right? In business, there are two terms. So there's a term, but then that it has two elements, right? So there's what we call competencies. So we have your core competencies and your threshold competencies. Now, core competencies are the things that you need to do just to be able to compete in a particular sector, to exist in the sector. Let me give you a simple example. A radio station needs a frequency. That's a core competence. Like you can't have it any other way. Then you need to have a mic. Okay, there's some radio stations that can just be playing music. But if you're going to have to be in a certain caliber, you need to have certain things, right? Those are your core competencies. But now the threshold, those are the threshold competencies, apologies. The core competencies are not the things you need that make you competitive, right? Now that could be state-of-the-art studio. That could be video. That could
this one.
Exactly. That now separates you, or being the only English radio station in Rwanda. That now becomes your niche. That becomes what makes you different from the next person. Now, an interesting thing that happens with automation is that before technology, and I want to use technology because we talk of people think technology, people think smartphones, apps, back in the day it used to be websites. But technology can even just be a more efficient way of producing drinks, a more efficient way of sewing clothes. So instead of using what they call nyonga nyonga, I don't know if you know nyonga nyonga, these sewing machines.
Charan.
These nyonga nyonga, instead of these manual machines.
Nyonga nyonga is a Kiswahili word, yeah?
Yeah, I think so. So instead of using these machines to make let's say your fashion house, you have your tailors and you have your workshop. Instead of using nyonga nyonga, you now bring something that's automated that does embroidery. So you find that's the technology. Technology in today's world has threshold competencies. There are certain sectors you cannot compete if you don't have fundamental technology. Automation, there are certain. I'll give you a simple example. If you're going to be a drink maker and try to compete with Bralirwa by bringing in a soft drink, and you're going to be manufacturing it, there's no way you're going to have a production line that's not automated, or at least semi-automated, and think you're going to compete. So what I'm just trying to say is that as she sits there and she thinks about automation and the impact it will have on her business, she needs to look at it as the same way you need to pay Misoro. You have to pay your taxes. The same way you need to make sure you have cash to pay salaries at month end. You need to make sure you have products to sell. It's fundamental. It's a threshold competence. It's the fundamental, it's a basic requirement, a basic need to exist in today's burgeoning economy. Now, when I link it to overnight success, I want to give some examples. And I'm going to ask this as a question to the both of you. What year do you think Aliko Dangote became a billionaire?
I don't remember the year, but it's been a couple of years.
Okay, so just to give you context, he started his business in 1977. So at what year do you think he became a billionaire? Because for me, when I found out, I'm like, what? And he's in Africa's most populous nation, so meaning he's not short of customers. And according to what people like to believe, he's a highly connected person. His grandfather was, at some point, was Africa's richest man, or they suspect was Nigeria's richest man.
He actually became a billionaire in 2007.
You have Googled. But if you had not Googled, what would you have thought? Maybe what? 5 years, 10 years after he started, especially him being close to the political apex of his country, maybe what, 1987?
Yeah, I mean, you would think if he started in the 60s.
Yeah, 70s.
In the 70s.
70s, then he should be...
Maybe after 10 years.
Yeah, maybe.
Which is not true.
Okay, that's fine. How long do you think it took Microsoft, or let me talk of Bill Gates, to be a billionaire? Mind you, he started the company in 1975, Microsoft. And mind you, this is now technology. It's not like trading commodities in Africa. You're talking of a fast-moving business where wealth is being created pretty much, in quote-unquote, overnight.
First, there was the world laughing at him. Like, what do you think this internet is going to deliver?
even before internet, think of now the personal computer.
Like, I mean, this gadget, and then who would buy it? Too complicated, too sophisticated. And then many years. But for as long as I have lived, I've known him as one.
So, okay, yeah, because, yeah, he took him 11 years to list Microsoft, and he became a billionaire, I think, in 1990. So that's almost, 15 years? The reason I'm giving you all these statistics is these are the people we see in public, and everybody wants to be like them. But no one actually thinks and says, somebody started a business in 1977 and became a billionaire in 2007. That's 30 years. 30.
So we should not give up. I see myself. We shall become billionaires.
Granted, maybe that's not what you're pursuing, but any success in life will take time. And unfortunately, we live in a society where society has allowed young people opportunities. So you find a lot of young people step into some form of success. And they're like, I've made it. And everybody thinks that that's how it normally is. But even those young people in those positions are far from the success you think they have. A lot of the young entrepreneurs that you see that are probably winning, I don't know what competitions, and are being lauded with accolades that they've succeeded, most of them are actually struggling. Maybe to meet payroll, cash flow management, very fundamental issues. They are rushing to banks to get cash to meet that short-term cash flow requirements. My point is this. When we think about success, and we talk about now using technology, for me, again, I'll repeat, everything is a marathon, not a sprint. And when you understand it's a marathon, what happens in a marathon? You don't try to run the first 100 meters like there's no tomorrow. Like you don't have, I don't know how many thousands more left. You're like, no, let me pace myself. Let me take it a step at a time. Let me lay the fundamentals. Let me lay the foundation necessary. Step by step, you can gradually build on it. So for me, that's how I normally perceive it. Even when you hear Amazon laying off 400 staff, if you know the story of Amazon only started making profit after 10 years in existence, and they were generating billions of dollars in revenue, but profit, because they were focused on the long term. They're like, we need to keep reinvesting in this business for it to grow.
Well, too much of a perspective there to give it time. Some people say, you don't have all the time with you. You set out to be successful, so you must be, and they will do everything they can to be successful. Is that a wrong way to approach entrepreneurship?
Okay, so we're looking. So success is defined by people differently. Like, if I ask Juliana, what is success to you?
Success is achieving. Again, you're asking the same question. Success is achieving. Achieving that milestone, that goal that you've always wanted. And I think it has to do with happiness, satisfaction, basically. Contentment, yes.
So I think for me, when I think of success, it's not far from what she says. And when I talk of specifically business success, I think most people, when they think of starting a business, there's that aspect of, I'm going to make some money. But tied to that, which is almost equal, for some people it's even greater, is I want to solve a need. I want to solve a problem. There's a gap I see, there's an opportunity I see, there's something I know I can plug into and I can make money. That's the normal way of thinking for most people. There are those who are altruistic and are like, for me, I just want to change the world. And again, those are very few. But when somebody goes out and says, I want to spot a gap and I want to plug into this gap, they're looking at solving a problem. Even if in your lifetime you are unable to, let's say you go out and say, I want to help ensure that people have fresh tomatoes to cook with at an affordable price. Because tomatoes are such a fundamental aspect to a balanced meal, right? So you decide, I'm going to farm tomatoes in greenhouses, I'm going to bring them to Kigali and sell them, or I'm going to even export them to other countries. Someone will be like, but how is that helping society? The fact that you are able to even sell them, it means that there's a shortage. The fact that you're able to export them, it means that the place you're exporting them to, there's a need for them. Now the question then comes in is you need to set an objective for yourself. You're like, I want my tomatoes to be in 1,000 homes in the next 5 years. That is your short-term goal. You're like, if I achieve this, I will believe I have achieved some form of success. It's not necessarily about the money. So that's what I'm trying to say. For me, when I see people talk about success purely from a materialistic gain aspect, that's when you're going to say life is short. And you're like, I don't have enough time. I need to get the latest Range Rover. I need to get the latest, I don't know, Brabus. I need to get the biggest house soon. And that's when people end up taking nefarious ways to get it. But if someone sits down and says it's about solving a need, even you know that you're not going to put your tomatoes in 1,000 homes in 1 month or in 6 months.
I have Jason who sends you compliments and says, that man, Ephraim, is a smart man. Jason wants to know if there is a common misconception you've seen in the entrepreneurial world and how aspiring entrepreneurs can avoid being misled by it.
So we have this thing of it's society, it's a societal issue thing. It's not something that we only see in the entrepreneurial world. We have this thing of celebrating people at the end of the tail end of their success. Let me put it like that. And we find it even prettier to keep talking about the good stuff because it sells tickets, it sells ad space, it sells, gets us views when we talk about the good stuff. Oh, I succeeded at this. Oh, I did this. Oh, I'm so successful at this. I mean, when we think about the hustle culture, the hustle bros, as we call them, you find guys will show you how many cars they have, how much money they have. They will never show you how they got that money. They will never give you even the nitty-gritty of the hustling of itself. What I'm just trying to say is that society has designed what I would call some form of hustle porn, where we are so drawn into the narrative of success. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, Juliana. Like, we think of social media. How many times do you post an actual picture? The one you actually took, the bad one. Normally you take a couple of them
and filter
and clean and then pick the best and put. So we have this belief that, and it's a reality. The reality is that what you see of an entrepreneur is the best version of himself, but you don't know what he's struggling with. I was listening to a podcast called Acquired, and they were interviewing Mark Zuckerberg. It came out pretty much like I think a week ago or so, and he mentioned something, and I would think of all the entrepreneurs in this world, Mark Zuckerberg would have the least problems, no? I mean, his business is one of the most successful.
And he has money.
How
can you have money and then you have problems?
That's the question.
Solve all the problems.
I mean, how? But you know what he said? And got the entrepreneurship journey is a hard one. I'm like, huh?
It is actually hard.
And the way he said it, he didn't say it like it's in past tense, like it was hard. He's saying it in continuous present, like it's an ongoing thing, like it's hard. And I'm like, huh? And then he goes on to say, he tries to say, especially when you have a startup. Okay, then he qualifies it that, yeah, and which I appreciate it because he's like, it's a little bit harder when you're starting out. But he still emphasized it. So I'm like, oh, so he made a distinction that even when you're at his level,
entrepreneurship is still hard.
It's still hard. And he then goes on to talk about how it's a commitment. But then guess what? The people who are interviewing him in this podcast quickly move on from that point. They don't drill down to ask him, like, hard in what way?
Because you don't expect the kind of statement to be coming from a man like him.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, for us, we look at him as successful.
Actually, we look at him as the end goal. Like, he's the person we're trying to aspire to be like. Mm-hmm. So then the question then comes in. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of entrepreneurs need to be careful to think that at some point, the quote-unquote the entrepreneurial struggle will end. And I put struggle in quotes because the struggle keeps changing. One time it's cash flow management, the next day it's not knowing where to invest the capital, or the next day it's
human resource.
Exactly. Or the next
it's
day
regulations.
Exactly. You never know what is next on the horizon. And it's the same with life. if you ever think that you will wake up the next day and you wake up with no problems, you have not understood the essence of life. Life is not about softness. It's not about living in bliss with problem free. Life is about finding contentment in the journey. And that journey will be riddled with pain and struggles and issues and all of that stuff. That's just a given.
Well, there are some people who give us the impression that everything is just going bala bala. I mean, they wake up to the beaches of the world. They have every fashion designer shoe, designer cologne, designer piece of cloth. Like everything is just fantastic. No problems of the world, you know.
Like Ephraim told you, they give you what is finally polished and ready to
I was about to say.
That is it.
I was about to say, have you ever been to the beach?
You wonder when they walk.
No, but I'm asking, have you ever been to the beach?
I live by the beach.
Do you know sea urchins?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever stepped on one? Okay, that's one. Have you ever come from the beach and come back and just like, where is all this sand coming from? You're like, I left the beach a month ago. It's a shoe. There's just so much sand. And so the logic is, even in those experiences, you're having a good time. As you say, you live there. But then the question is, but there will still be sand on the beach and you'll still bring it home and it will still come in your clothes and it'll still end up in your bed, whether you like it or not, no matter how much you shower. And so that's just the reality of life, that you cannot avoid the loss of a loved one. You can't avoid the loss of a job, or you can't avoid the insecurity felt by, let's say, theft or for women in the context of society. So the question then comes in is, do you now go and say that life is not happy, life is not successful? It's the same thing with the entrepreneurship journey. So I think that's what I want to communicate to entrepreneurs. Don't get lost in the romanticization of entrepreneurship, of success. That when you become successful, all your problems disappear. Yes, your problems become a little bit easier. It's easier to cry when you don't owe anybody money. It's easier to deal with life when you are not hungry. But there are also problems that those people face. Some of them even become existential. Existential, in the sense that people now start to question the essence of life. I've said this before on this show, and as a closing part, there was a friend who looked for me. Actually, it was a person who looked for me because of the podcast. And they wanted to talk to me about business. We ended up sitting down for coffee and we realized that the problem was not business. The problem was they were questioning the essence of life. They'd reached a point where they had made so much money and they were like, what next with my life? I have this business. I'm not motivated anymore. I don't feel like this. I don't know that. And you're looking at the person. And I remember trying to tell it to somebody who is hustling and struggling for life. And I'm like, this is what this person is dealing with. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. You can't understand it until you are in their shoes.
There, yeah.
And so what I'm just trying to say is that the grass is always green on the other side, but also don't forget that the water bill is probably even higher as well. So my logic would be, focus.
Water your grass.
Exactly. And be okay with the fact that sometimes there will be no rain or there'll be no water and your grass will dry up a little bit. You'll have some spots. So the point is, figure out how to solve your issues on your side of the fence.
The beauty about this conversation is, I mean, I have lived under the heat and also under the AC. So
you know
both
sides.
What is most important is have your cup of coffee and drink it while it is still hot.
Exactly.
That is it.
So enjoy your life, pretty much.
Yeah, if you've made money.
If it gets to the dry season, please mingle in there.
Yeah, look for an umbrella.
Look for an umbrella. If it's raining, please enjoy the rain.
I know.
Arikurero, also just to say, Ephraim, think if you're speaking too much Chunjereza, it's too much English in there.
Even me at some point, it started to jam me. I was like, Mama.
This is too much Chunjereza early in the morning.
Sometimes it's important to carry your notebook, write a few things.
Write down what
you don't understand,
please.
You go and cross-check in the dictionary.
Hey, aye.
Ephraim Ramwenje is an entrepreneur. He's also the host of Living Entrepreneurship by Salty, the podcast. The 8 at 8 comes to an end. Jean Baptiste brings us the news in just a bit.
Kigali in the morning.